Hey there, my name's Michael. I'm the Dream Chaser. I'm the creator of Dream Chaser On Demand YouTube. I'm also the founder of DreamChaserOnDemand.com, which is a streaming on-demand service that provides movie quality, tranquil nature films for relaxation, reducing stress. Been a professional nature photographer, nature cinematographer for over 20 years. I've also been a volunteer wildfire photo video journalist here in California for 15 years, and I'm Fireline certified, and I've responded to over 25 wildfires. Over the years, I've hiked thousands and thousands of miles in the backcountry, almost always alone in some of America's most beautiful locations, from Yosemite to Sequoia to the Grand Canyon, Zion National Park, Glacier, Grand Teton, throughout Utah, Canyonlands, Arches, Bryce, Colorado, and the San Juan Mountains to Olympic National Park. And one thing I always remind myself in nature is that I'm not in my backyard anymore. I'm in a different environment, and I need to kind of change my mindset and realize that nature doesn't care about me. Nature's going to do what nature's going to do, and nature can kill me at any time. So it's up to me to be prepared to be in nature and take steps to make sure that I have a safe time and also an enjoyable time. Today I'm in the Diablo Mountains of California, and I'd like to share a few suggestions and tips that I do when I'm planning for a day hike so that I have a good time. The first thing I do when I plan a hike is I check the weather. If I'm doing a shorter 2 to 5 mile hike, I might only spend 5 to 10 minutes checking the weather. If I'm doing a longer 8 to 10 to 12 mile backcountry day hike, I can spend up to 30 minutes checking the weather. And if I'm doing a longer multi-day backpacking trip, I can be tracking the weather for up to a week. I'd prefer to look at the weather information on a computer versus a cell phone. I find it much more productive and helpful. So for today's example, we're going to be planning a hike in Big Sur, California, which is about 75 miles from my HQ. I'm showing some footage behind me here of my 6.5 hour tranquil nature film, Beautiful Big Sur, and I'm showing one of my Big Sur photographs on the desktop. I do all the photography and cinematography for my service, DreamChaserOnDemand.com. So the weather website I like to use for planning a hike is the Weather Underground. I think all the weather websites are pretty similar. They all use the same source data. I like the interface on the Weather Underground. So when I look at Big Sur, California on the Weather Underground, the first thing I see is the temperature today is 50 degrees, high of 59. It's sunny. But I notice that the website is using the Monterey Peninsula Airport for its source data. And that's about 35 miles north of where I'll be hiking. So I'll click the change link and I'll see a list of weather reporting stations in Monterey County. And I will scroll down south using the weather map until I see Big Sur. And I notice farther south, there's a weather reporting station near the trailhead where I'll be hiking. So when I click on that, I see that the temperature here is about 5 degrees cooler than it was reported at the airport. And that can just give me some more specific information for hiking. Finding weather information for the specific trailhead where you'll be hiking can be difficult. Sometimes you have to call a local park and try to find a ranger and see if they know something. The next thing I like to do is I like to look at the hourly information for the weather for that day and see what the trend is. Specifically, it might be 78 degrees when you're starting your hike, but later in the day towards sunset, it's 63 degrees and the temperature's dropping and the wind is picking up. Possibly in the summertime, there's thunderstorms moving in. So I'll also look at cloud cover, wind speed, wind chill factor, just get a kind of sense of what the weather's doing for that day. And lastly, on a weather website, I'll always look at the radar. So again, today there's high pressure in California. There's no weather coming in. Yesterday there was weather. There was also a weather alert for this location. But the weather radar may show that it's going to start raining at 3 o'clock at your location, and you're planning a morning hike from 7 a.m. to noontime, which means you can still get your hike in and have a great day. Where we'll be hiking is in the Los Padres National Forest and specifically the Ventana Wilderness. So I'll often go to the National Forest website and see if there's any specific information or alerts that the National Forest is reporting. So it's showing me that fire danger today is low, but it's also showing me that there's forest road closures. It can show me that there are trail closures. You don't want to go out hiking and be 5 miles down a trail to find out that the trail's been washed out and you can't go any farther. You'd rather find that out when you're planning on your computer. This also shows me some snow information for some of the high peaks in the forest. Now I know there's a great website as part of the Ventana Wilderness maintained by the Ventana Wilderness Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization. So first of all, just look at how fantastic those mountains are in the photograph. Those are the Santa Lucia Mountains, and I've backpacked over them many times. But I see on this website they have a youth and wilderness program. So you may be a parent planning a hike with your children, and you want to find out some information about your location that might be specific to kids, possibly the environment, possibly some wildlife information, maybe a history of the region, so that you can make your hike a teachable experience for your child. You also can include them in the planning process. Earlier in the week, kids get excited, they're going hiking on Saturday, and gives them something to look forward to. What I look at is the trail information on this particular website, and there may be a website like this in your location that doesn't show up easily when you're doing research. But in this example, this has lists of all the 50 major trails in the Ventana Wilderness. And we're going to take a look at one in particular called the Black Cone Trail, which this website gives trail reports from people who've been out on a trail. And if I look at the latest conditions for this trail, I know this trail, I've backpacked to it, and there hasn't been a report on this trail since July of 22. And the report then was it is impassable, completely overgrown, and the tread is obliterated. And I can attest to that because I tried to camp out on this trail. It's right at the top of the Santa Lucia Mountains at about 5,000 feet. And the storms can come in there and the wind's blowing 60, 70 miles an hour. And I thought it would be a good fun time for me, but you couldn't hike down it. So always be prepared to not take a trail or turn around if the conditions get too bad based on your experience. You can also use Google. to get some information about an area where you'll be hiking or a trail. You could search for Big Sur, California hiking. You could search for Big Sur, California hiking for seniors, Big Sur, California hiking for wildflowers, for photography, and get a list of trail information. And then you can use an app like All Trails, which many people have, millions of people use this app, and search for the area where you'll be hiking. And they'll give you a list of trails in that location. And specifically, we're going to be looking at a trail in All Trails called the Sykes Hot Springs Trail, which is one of the most popular trails in the Los Padres National Forest. It's also an extremely strenuous trail. It's 19 miles out and back, 5,300 feet of elevation gain, and that may not be the right trail if you're a beginner hiker. So always look at your own physical condition and your physical ability to do a hike. If a hike is listed as moderate, it may be too much for you and you want to stick with an easy hike where you'll have a more enjoyable time, but it might be better suited for you. So one feature I love about All Trails is the Preview Trails feature, which gives you a kind of Google Earth three-dimensional view of a trail. So looking at this trail, the thing I look at the elevation gain in the upper right. And this trail just keeps going up and up and up and up. And again, it's not a beginner hiking trail. But if you have a paid subscription to All Trails or most hiking apps, you can download the route for the hike as well as an offline map. So for $35, it's a good investment if you're going to be doing hiking on a regular basis, because cell phone coverage in the backcountry is pretty sparse. Another popular app people use, or I'm starting to hear about, is called Onyx Backcountry. It's a similar app to All Trails, where it'll have a list of trails in an area. But where Onyx is different is they have a route building tool. So you can click on a map and start building a custom route that's specific to you. You might want to do a bunch of trails that go to a waterfall and start building a custom route and download that to your phone, which is a nice feature. So another last app that's very popular is called Gaia GPS. I would not call this a beginner app. It's a little bit challenging to learn, but the benefit of it is that it's extremely detailed in its data, and it has a bunch of map overlays that you can download onto the standard topographical map. So you could look at things like wildfire information, precipitation trends for the next 48 hours, snow trends, smoke information, and kind of build your own specific app for your hike. So in summary, it's worth spending 5, 10, 15 minutes at your home before you go hiking, planning, preparing, giving some thought to what you'll be doing. I think it'll lead to a more enjoyable hike and certainly a safer hike.
This is not meant as a what's in my pack video, but quickly, as the sun's fading over the Diablo Mountains, I'd like to just give you some suggestions as to what to bring on a hike. And the first one is use a day pack. So today I'm using a 35-liter pack because I have a lot of camera gear and things to bring, but they do sell inexpensive packs, and I'll leave links in the description below to the gear I use and some lower cost items that if you're just starting out you might consider. So the next thing that I suggest you bring strongly is a first aid kit. Nobody expects to sprain their ankle, nobody expects to fall and get cut on the trail. These are very inexpensive on Amazon, and I was just recertified in wilderness first aid. It's a very intensive 2-day course, and it covers everything that a backcountry wilderness paramedic covers in 9 days. I joke to my friends, it just means that I'm not going to faint at the sight of blood, but things can go bad in nature, and you'll thank yourself if you have a first aid kit. So one thing I always think about is, will a first responder be able to spot me if I need to be rescued? So I always bring bright reflective colors with me, and this is one of my big go-to layers, as I mentioned, the Arc'teryx Atom LT. Notice the color. Notice the color of my pack is red. And I don't expect you to go into nature and dress like a construction worker or a school crossing guard. But you can very easily purchase things like this on Amazon, which are emergency bivvies. They cost $25, $30. And the color, if you need to be spotted by a search and rescue aircraft, this at least gives you a chance. I also have in my pack a mirror, reflective mirror, that you can use to be spotted. You want to bring some nutrition with you. I'm not a big fan of bars, and I love Cliff Bars. I've eaten 1 billion of them, but I don't use them anymore. They're all syrup, and they really do nothing to fuel me on a hike. So I make my own trail mix at home, made of organic nuts and raisins and dried fruit. Put a little salt in there, and it's a much more effective fuel for me as I'm out on a hike. I've been attacked by mutant bugs and flying things and mosquitoes. So I bring a mosquito netting, and this is actually a whole suit that goes above me. It's made by Sea to Summit. It's not very expensive, as I recall, under $50. I'll include a link in the description. Trekking poles. I didn't use them forever, and I started using them about 5 years ago. And these are just game changers as far as keeping you efficient on the trail. You can go faster. Oh, you can keep you from falling and slipping. Bring trekking poles. I always bring a wind layer and a Gore-Tex shell. Right now, it's getting cold out here, so I'm going to put all these layers on. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put a smart wool cap on when we're done with the video. And lastly, if it's important, bring a poop kit. Doesn't cost anything. Stick it in your pack, and if you have an emergency, you're prepared. So thank you for watching this video. I'd like you to continue hiking, exploring nature. It's wonderful. This video is not meant to scare anybody, and oh my gosh, we have to worry when we go into nature. You just have to be prepared. A little common sense. Don't let your kids climb on rocks and do crazy things like that. And just be mindful of safety, and you'll have a great time when you're hiking. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you'd like the video, I would appreciate it.